I've been sailing and building all my life. I've moved some pretty large and impressive stuff. I've worked on the world's largest heavy lift ship, 1,070 foot long. I moved some big stuff, and even by myself, I've moved some pretty large, impressive stuff. I've listened to all the theories of these archaeologists that's never built anything, of how all these were built, all these megalithic structures all around the world. And the best I've heard yet was giants and magic. So since then, for several years now, I've just been studying all the ancient writings. And the one that was most complete was the Hebrew Bible, so I concentrate on it most. That Hebrew Bible looked like a mountain when I started, so I would go back and forth into the English version and look for patterns in the Hebrew. And what got me was here in Genesis 11, when it says the whole world had one language. And that was a huge problem for God, because nothing they planned to do would be impossible. And that was right up my alley. I'd like to say that there's nothing I can't do. He says, let us go down and confuse their language. And when I did the math there, it says we had one language, and it was such a problem because we already had the book. The book came before the language change, and all this English version was no good. I had to learn that ancient language, and it wasn't Hebrew. It's Teutonic. And that's all proven here. If you Google Hebrew punctuation, you come on down here to the Pasif here. It says the Pasif originates from Biblical Hebrew, as it is not on the standard Hebrew keyboard, and vertical bar is often used instead. However, it is seldom, if ever, used in modern Israeli Hebrew, and is not mentioned on the Academy of Hebrew Language Guide to Modern Hebrew Punctuation. And that's because, like much of the biblical Hebrew punctuation, the meaning of the Pasif is not known. They don't know what the punctuation means. And so I figured out what the punctuation means just by studying the book in patterns. And nobody's come up, I've been saying this for a while now, and nobody's put up an argument yet. Nobody knows anything about it. I don't know if any of the rabbis are reading this, but they don't use the language because they can't read and write it. And I've proved that just by reading it, you'll find that every word has 20 different meanings. Any word can mean anything. And as to this Braille, all these dots for vowel points, it wasn't on the original. And it wasn't long ago that people were writing in the block style, and they weren't using the Braille because people that understood the language didn't need it. The Braille was all invented later to try to hide a meaning in there. I haven't even studied it. There may even be another code hidden in the Braille, but it wasn't there to begin with. So I learned a lot about history while reading this, and I'm not saying it's because there's any truth in this poetry, but I learned the history by how the words are put together and what words they're trying to hide, and it helps me put together the history that's missing. So I got called to do a little job the other day, and my caulk wasn't working. It was old. So on the way home, I looked down for the expiration date, and I noticed this on there. It says black Negro, and it got me thinking on the way home. And so it didn't take long. I put it together that on the first day of Genesis, on Genesis 3, it talks about that, and I've talked about it before. So when I started reading this, I didn't even know the Teutonic language, or I didn't even know it existed or what it was. But I've learned since that if you knew the Teutonic language and you started reading this, you would be stumped a little bit. There's some strange things going on, but it eases you into it. In receipt, bear, and then this word would have been a little strange to you. And this next word wouldn't have quite fit. And so it uses a couple different ways. This is the first type of punctuation, is this A. And you'll see old Hawass talking about it in when he's reading it in Egypt, when he's reading the kings or the gods' names on the wall. You know it because you come into the God letter. The God letter's A. So the God letter's A. It's Aleph. And they say it's the ox, but it's not. It's actually, it would come from the ancient plow. And it was the first gift to man was his plow. And it means the leader, thousands, powerful. And you don't see it here, but a lot of the letter meaning charts will tell you it means God, A, Aleph, Allah, and you'll see it in all the God names, or the majority of them. There's a couple hundred of them in the Bible, but the majority of them have the Allah in them. And then the M is waters, and it means from. So it says, in receipt bear. And then you come to the God letter, and like Hawass says, when you hit the God letter, you read that name backwards. And it's ancient spells and witches and alchemists do that. They write the gods' names backwards. They write their secrets backwards. So when you see this M, you just say from, and then it's Y-E-L-A, yell. In receipt bear, from yell. And you see this A again, so you read it backwards, to the Shamim. And then this is the same word here. They give it no meaning all the way through the Bible. It means A, knowledge, T, the writings, the mark. The Shamim, and then it starts with a W now, so it reads straight through, W-A-2. It means what? What hears? E-A-R-X. What hears? From a yell to the shaman, what hears? And so this first line, it's only teasing you with this A. It's breaking you in slowly. And then the second line is whereas the 8-2 to be connected to husk all in place. Then this place is a PNJ, ping, and that's how we find our place on a boat. We shoot for pings. It means place. All in place, the tune, to root, to awaken. And so this is the second piece of punctuation here, is this tack here, and it means read this backwards and then forwards. I-N-P-N-I, in place, in ping. I-N-P-N-I. And so the I and the Y and the J are all the same letter. And you'll see it all throughout. And they say it sounds like an E here, but you throw that out. It'll be given like here, a Y or a I. Sometimes it's the J, sometimes it's the I, sometimes it's the Y. So the first line is you learn the first punctuation, the Aleph, the main one. The second punctuation to learn is this tack, and it means to read the next line backwards and forwards. The next word, I-N-P-N-I, I-N-P-N-J, in ping. So it breaks you in on the second line. It uses both sets. Then it's from the yell again. to awaken from a yell, from repedal, in place them form. And then on the third day, this is where we see both types again, and we won't see this third type until down here on the fifth line, the last of the. So on the first day, you're slowly learning, even if you read the Teutonic language. This would still be different because this is an alchemical Teutonic, and we call it Hebrew, but it means alchemical Teutonic, and it means it's written in secret because it's of the gods and the spirits and the recipe in the receipt. And that's what it said on my great-grandma's cookbook, in receipt. The receipt is the recipe, in the recipe bear. So this is the word I want to get to, and it says to yammer. So AMR is the word, and you'll see in the Greek it's logos, and you know what logos are. And so this AMR comes from the word armory, and it has to do with seals, the king's seals and your family seal, and that's the kind of language it's talking about. It's talking about armory. Talking about what all this means. The colors and the shapes all have a meaning. So when it says to yammer, to make amar, to make word. And so this W-I is Y. And so that's Y as in W-I-E-Y. It's like in Spanish, you'll see the same word is for why and because.
Why and because. ¿Por qué y por qué?
So if you see somebody arguing with their mom, they want to go out, and mom says no. If they're Spanish, and he's saying ¿por qué? And she's telling ¿por qué? Why? Because. Same word. They give it a little accent, but that's what this is. This is why, and it actually means how. How, the word. From yell, yeehaw. That's what you holler at your horse when it's time to go. Yeehaw, get up and make the work. And so you see that, and this I is the yod, the I, J, or Y, yod. It's the hands, and it says to work or to make. And the E is the life, and you can replace it with the, usually when it's in front. And so that says yeehaw, make the work. And then this starts with an A, so this is row. Make the work of the row. And so that's light. Row. And then here's the make the work, but it says to make the work. Why, how he row, and then it reads both ways, rower, the wage, W-I-E-J, yeehaw, row, wage, the rower. So this is pronounced row. If we look at it backwards, W-R-W-O, row. And so this is where your word Negro come from. Negative, row, negative light. So I haven't found this word anywhere else in the Bible, this turn this way. Right here, R-U-A. It's the only place I found it. And you see this R-A-U, R-A-E. And if we translate that, they're meaning something visual, beautiful in the eye, or to see, R-A-U. And then this is to see. This was the R-U-A, R-W-A, the row, to see. Right here, the row. And so this is a modern Hebrew. And if I look for translation, no matches. So when it says light, it doesn't necessarily mean light, because Ra is the light, and that's it in Ra, in the first knowledge, in the first power is the light. But this is the first connected knowledge, and so this probably means color. To make the word from yell, the wage, the color. To make the work, the color, to wage, the roar. And so AUR is gold. It's still gold today. It's the symbol for gold is AU. AUR is Old Latin for gold. The color of gold. To make the word from yella, Y-E-L-A, the yella. To make the work, the color. To wage, the color, gold. And so row not necessarily meaning light, but meaning color. So you can see that here, the R, Ra, is the first, the head, the first, to begin. And then the Vav, just like the I, the Vav takes place of the U, the W, and the V. Is Vav. And it was once drawn as a cotter pin. It held your wheel on. And so it means to connect the wheel, and to join together. And so if you join something together, it's two. Put that two. And so that's why you hear me when I see it often, I'll just say it's two. And the other word for two is AT. It reads backwards, two. The marked knowledge. The written knowledge is to something. It's to describe something. To describe it would be written knowledge. But a vav is to, as in connected to. And so the first connected knowledge. And so if you get robbed and you call the police and they're going to ask you, can you describe them? The first thing you see is color. He was wearing a red shirt. You don't say he was wearing a shirt. The first thing that hits your mind is the color. That's the first thing. It's natural. Everybody sees the color first. So the first connected knowledge is the color. So Negro only means black if you're white. It means the negative color. So if you're white, your negative color is black. So the word Mosaic comes from the word Moses. And Moses was a magician and a master of light. And on the first page of the Bible, he's teaching you how to put this color wheel together with all this information. So if you're blue, your negative color is orange. And if you're yellow, your negative color is purple. And if you put these two colors together, then you'll have black. The green and the red. The green is blue and yellow plus red. will give you black. And so black is the center. And this is Afro. And so you don't see it here, but this Q means center. It was a worldwide symbol. It was a circle with a line through it. And it was worldwide in every language. And it meant the center. It, not necessarily the back of the head, but it was the fifth direction. You got to know where you are at your ping, the center, before you know where you're going. In Egypt, it was drawn as a brick with a bad backside. Had a square side, and the backside was curved. And that meant the center. You build a wall, you put that in the center where it's not going to be seen. The Egyptologists will call it a slope, a mountain slope, but it meant the backside of a brick. And so the center is Q or PH, F, color, row. The center color, fro. That's where your word African come from. Can is mean a people of. Can, a Mexican, people of Mexi. American, people of Ameri. African, people of black. So if you want to find that, you'll find it here in Job 22:28, the last word. It says, we'll shine light. Negro. So somebody that was uneducated, that didn't know to read the A word backwards, they would say this is Negor. And that would be negative gold. But this is Negro, and it's negative light. And so what this is really saying is, what geezer, WT, what GZR, what geezer, rum of more. Got a tack, reads backwards, forwards, rum, RMU, the rum of more, whiff from. They got getting a whiff, old drunk geezer wanting some more rum. Like to all, and then backwards and forwards, kick, K-I-K, to kick Redrick Jack. And so rhetoric is being articulate in your speech, and rhetoric is putting some truth amongst the lies. That's what politicians specialize in. They kick the rhetoric and jack Negro. That's your Democrats there. Old geezer. That's talking about Nancy Pelosi. The rum of more whiff from. Like to all kick Redrick to Jack Negro. So YouTube doesn't like my educational videos, and this is a good one they took down today. If you didn't see it, I'll leave a link below. You can see it on BitChute. But it shows all the proof of the scamdemic that's going on right now, and what else they got planned. Alright, good day.